But we made this color, and they were like, well, what the hell are we going to call it? And I said, well, I don't know, just call it Henri's Red. And I've been both very much looking forward to this because I get to talk to you, and
Yeah.
very much dreading this because I have to talk about something that I don't like to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, right. I know. I remember you saying that.
But this whole thing was really like of my own making because we were doing this red, like originally, like, you know this, and this is what we want to talk about, which is like, you know, East Fork, I called it East Fork because it wasn't Alex Matisse. And I didn't want like
Right.
Matisse being associated with the thing that I was doing early
That's right.
on. And it didn't matter. Like, people would still want me to sign the bottom of the pots. They still would want to see a signature, even if it wasn't his signature. They want to see some signature that says Matisse.
Right.
So I couldn't totally escape it. Although now I feel like I really have escaped it because most of the people that buy our pottery have no idea like
Exactly.
anything about that story, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool. But we made this color, and they were like, well, what the hell are we going to call it? And I said, well, I don't know, just call it Henri's Red. And which is kind of cheesy, and I just like was just off the cuff, and they did it. And then they're like, okay, well, now we got to talk about it. And I was like,
Yeah, really.
Now we have to like do the
Right.
content around it. And then the funniest thing the team did that I did not even know about was they recreated the room. Like, they
Oh,
recreated the image in 3 dimensions. Did you see these
No.
photographs? And we
no.
did a shoot, and our creative team, like, we have the most amazing creative team ever, because they sort of told me, and I blocked it out. I like put it somewhere in the back of my head. They're like, yeah, we're gonna like recreate the room. And I was like, okay. And I started to get like a little nervous. And then when I saw it, like, they went full bore, like,
Really? I have to see it because
Cherry's friends like did like reproduction, like quick little sketch reproductions of the paintings, because it was next level. And they did a shoot with the pottery in there. And then I immediately texted Mike, and I said, Mike, is George going to sue me for doing
right,
this?
exactly.
He said, no, I don't think so.
Emphasis on. Oh my God! And somebody actually did the paintings too.
Somebody did the painting.
That's so cute. I love it.
It's really cute, and they even
Oh
did
my
like
God!
like
This looks
you
so
do you know
good.
the plate that was in the show that he painted?
Yeah.
Like, they did that on one of our plates. That was really
Oh,
sweet.
that's so cool. But the red is so nice. The red is great. It's almost like a it's got an orangey feeling to it, does it?
Yeah, it's got a little orange. It's a little kind of ochre. It's got a little, I don't know, umber to it. But starting at the very beginning, like, I think that, like, as children, that's the most sort of interesting place to start. Like, when did you start to have an understanding that there was this person in your life that was sort of bigger than anything that anybody could imagine? Yeah. And what was that presence like? How did the presence
I just
infiltrate
remember
itself?
going to summer camp. I think it was like a day camp or something, and somebody had asked me, oh, we heard you were related to Matisse. Is that really true? And I just remember being really young, like under 8. For some reason, I was thinking under 8, maybe 5 or 6. And I said, yeah, he was my great grandfather. That's all I knew. But for some reason, I never forgot it, because that was like, okay, I almost felt like people were not seeing me. They were sort of looking, when you look at somebody in the eyes and you realize they're just looking to the side of your face or but somewhere else aside from in your eyes. And that was the moment. And it was sort of like, okay, what is this thing?
You just sort of disappear.
Yeah, you kind of disappear. So
Yeah.
which can be nice and unnice also
Yeah.
for various reasons. But I guess, I mean, really thanks to Dada, who always gave me the impression that, you know, we could build anything, make anything. It sort of gave me the inspiration to actually consider myself, I don't know if you could say artist, but I don't know what other word it is. That I could be a creator also, even with this.
Which was not something that was offered to the other.
No,
right?
certainly not. I mean, Dada always says that he never considered himself an artist to any degree because somebody had already filled that slot in the family.
I mean, I remember always being told there was this real sort of eschewing of going after anything for a commercial gain. It was sort of like, if you're going to be an artist, if you're going to create, do that, but you just have to do it with the sort of fullness of your
and without
of yourself.
And without, you can't, it has to be pure in the sense that you can't attach money issues to it, which is really hard to, I mean, that was what Matisse felt, that, you know, he at one point was trying to make paintings to get some monies for his family. And so he did paintings that that he thought would sell. And he did a whole sort of series of little paysage, you know, like landscape paintings that he thought would be like an easy sell. You could tell because you could tell that they were just had no magic in them whatsoever. They were just, it was just a means to an end. And he forced them thinking that he could just get some quick, you know, something anyway for them, but they were tainted. And so I think he felt that, you know, never can you, it's just the combination just doesn't work, money and art. You know, you could, somebody else can sell it afterwards and stuff, but if you're making it in order to make money, then good luck to you, essentially.
And so it seems like luck and talent, and either you have it or you don't.
You have it or you don't.
And they had it.
In today's world, you have to know what to do with your talent. It's, I mean, like so many people are talented, but who knows? I mean, then the next level is what the hell do you do with that talent? And not everybody is very prolific when it comes to knowing what to do, either business wise or just gallery wise or whatever.
Yeah. There's also this thing, to me at least, that was passed down, and these are the sort of unspoken things, you know, like the thing you're not necessarily told, but you just absorb, was the intensity with which you need to approach something with. And if you're not approaching something with intensity, you know, there's just no point to it. Like why do that? And I remember hearing again a story of him saying maybe to Amélie, I love you, but I love my painting more. And as long as you're good with that, like we'll be good. Like,
exactly. But look, you know what that comes down to? That comes down to what we're all supposed to be saying essentially, is that you have to put yourself as you are the caretaker of yourself first, above and beyond anybody else. Only because if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of the others. It took me decades to wrap my head around it, because, you know, as a woman having a family or kids or whatever, I couldn't, you know, imagine putting my art in front of the kid. But for him, his art was his way of being the best person he could be.
And that's the first time that I've interpreted in that way, that you, like, hearing you say that,
right?
Because I've heard it 1,000 times, and you know, either through therapy, whatever, like, yeah, you
Right,
cannot truly love someone else unless you love yourself and you are deeply content in your own being
right,
and all the
right.
rest.
Yeah.
And I did not sort of, I always attached a brutality to
Yeah,
that
right.
statement, but I never connected it to the fact that his work was it
His
was
existence.
him,
Yeah.
it was his existence, his way of
Right.
you know. And
Yeah. Change it. It
some
should.
of the hardest moments for Connie and I in the very beginning when we met
Yeah.
was I had bought the piece of property to build the kiln and the pottery, and I was pursuing my life's passion. And
Right.
I basically had this feeling like I more or less said that to her. And
Yeah.
we've been working through the traumas of that ever since.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right. Right.
like
Get it.
I was like, I'm here, I'm doing this. If you'd like to be part of this life, you can. I'm not gonna pack this up and like move and go off and change
Sure.
something. I mean, in a sense, I was saying a similar thing, but there was I said it with that sort of that
Yeah.
that coldness, that brutality that it had sort of
Yeah.
been
Yeah. That's
passed to
very
me
interesting.
in
Right.
a way.
Well, also
And
that was kind of what was presented to you as how to put it out there to somebody else. It's like that was
right,
the sampling you got. So you took it as a tool. That was how you saw how the tool works. When in
right,
fact you can actually hold it in a different way.
yeah, yeah. Like you're a kind of generation older than me. You were a little
Yeah.
closer. You
Right.
spent more time with Tini, who
Right.
was
Right.
our father's, who was our grandmother.
Right.
What I'm getting from you is like this perspective that I've never gotten before because all I've had is this heavy perspective.
Yeah, I know.
It's
And
like he was so serious. He was so
right.
hard on himself. He was hard
Right.
on everybody around him.
Right.
And so I'm 37 and kind of coming out of this, I sort of pushed it all away for a long time. I
Yeah.
moved to North Carolina. I tried to sort of
Right.
escape something and like build something that was completely separate from it.
And look, here
And
it is right now in the center of your fire,
all right,
in the
yeah.
center of your kiln, cooking.
And rediscovering it in a different
Yeah,
light, I think, and
wonderful.
looking at it in a very different light. And for you, like you've lived more of your life with a lighter sense of
I
being
think,
attached to Matisse.
yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I've always, kind of had issues of self-confidence and things like that. But when it came to the art, somehow it seemed like um, it seemed a lot more forgiving. So I
Mhm.
gained a lot of confidence when it came to making art because nobody could say, well, that's wrong what you did, or that's
Yeah,
correct, like 1 + 1
yeah,
or something.
right.
So that, thank God, that was a saving grace for me.
Yeah. Was the series that you did
Oh, and that was the
the
series Missing
I'm
People.
yeah, the missing people. I mean, that had a little heaviness to it, didn't it?
Yeah, but that was very funny because that was exactly what I was not supposed to do. And
And just say what the missing people series was.
oh yeah, the Missing People. Well, it was a series that I did back in the early '90s when I sort of moved back to New York, and Anna and I were staying up. Guy was a baby, and we were looking at this book of the Mona Lisa, and it was how, I don't know, 300 artists treated the Mona Lisa and did their version of the Mona Lisa. And by the time I got done with the book, I just felt exhausted because here I'd just been bombarded by all these crazy images. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be nice if she just could get up and leave the room for a breather or something? And Alain encouraged me, said, okay, do it. And
Yeah.
so that was the start of it. But it did
Mm.
but then it came to like, oh, all right, I've done all these famous paintings, reproduced the paintings, but without the people in them, a whole series of them. And then it came to, well, if I did, you know, Vermeer and Monet and Picasso and God knows who else, Da Vinci, what about Matisse? Is he off limits? He cannot be off limits because you just have to do the wrong thing in moments. And so I did, and I painted, the first Matisse I did was the goldfish.
The goldfish.
There's a couple of different versions, but I did one of them. And Jackie came to the silo in Seldon, France, to our summer place. And she said, okay, let me see what you've taken out of the goldfish painting. And she was so sweet. And she was looking and looking. And I was waiting and waiting. And I had taken out the goldfish. But the rest of the painting, I mean, they're just tiny little goldfish, but they're a key color in the painting. And she got it eventually, but it was a funny joke, and I was totally expecting to be not attacked, because our family is not like that, but you know, maybe a couple of cold shoulders or something. But it actually went over perfectly well, and even Claude remarked on it, that somehow the fish had made it to the main menu of you know, some lunch in the country or something. But that was a real necessary painting to do what I was not supposed to do. Right. You know, because it's following his example. He did what he knew was, you know, taboo in his day. And if you want to be free and move forward, sometimes you have to, you know, break a few barriers.
Yeah, and all of these things are what helps sort of change something that feels like it's casting shadow.
That's right.
To casting light.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it can do both. It doesn't have to be cloud casting a shadow you'll never walk out of, you know, and that's been the lifelong journey. Yeah.
Because I felt the same way you did, younger, just sort of thinking of these black and white serious pictures of Matisse looking like a statue in marble or something, and seeing, you know, coffee table books, you know, 5 inches high on the table, and just, you know, it's heavy. So, but there's he can definitely be an inspiration. I think at the end of the day, I don't think he would really want to destroy anybody's desire to create.